Welcome to the Broski Doodles podcast, the best podcast in all of the land. It's your boy Kiko Flo, Kiko Cervantes. And with us, like every week, is Chef Maurice, directly from Hialeah, Miami, 305, Miami-Dade County. He's moved from San Francisco. He's now in the savage country where the hot women are and the expensive mojitos. And we have a special guest today, our resident pilot for the Broski Doodles, officially with us, Marco, the pilot. We're gonna get into some of the details of what he does in the air, but yeah, pretty much he's our friend. He's a listener. He flies.
He literally flies high.
Yeah, he flies high, but not in any
Very
way
high.
that you. Yeah, not in the San Francisco Chef Maurice way. He gets in metal boxes that propel to the air 50,000 feet, and yeah, he takes stuff from one place to the other. Legal stuff, legal cargo. And he's joining us today to talk about some of the topics that we bring. I know it's been 2 weeks that you haven't seen us. Chef Maurice was moving to Miami. That's why he has a different setup. And I was sick last week, so we just had to take a week off. Sorry for that. But let's get right to it. A few weeks back, we had a blackout in Madrid, right? Where everything, went dark. It was kind of scary because we didn't know what was happening. We didn't have connection. And at the time, I remember okay, we didn't have a radio, and you start thinking of the small things that you would need in these situations because you depend so much on electricity and internet, and we didn't have a radio. And then I was like, wow, what about if somebody has a gas stove, different types of lights, they could be okay. Someone like an Amish, right, that lives in the outskirts and sort of self-dependent. But one thing that I started looking, whenever you see documentaries of the Amish, which are very common these days, right? Am I mistaken? I think the Amish are mainly in Pennsylvania area. So, Marco, you know what the Amish are, right?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Right. So I think originally they're German colonies that came to the U.S. and sort of stayed in this very enclosed.
Live isolated, away from big cities, and they don't really use technology or.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they might never see this. We can talk everything.
Well,
anything that we want.
Except, this is the thing that I wanted to talk about the Amish about. Every time you see more and more that the Amish always have exceptions. You know what I mean? Like different groups of Amish, some of them will have phones. And then the kids, hiddenly, they eat Doritos and, go in the internet and shit. So, I don't know. It's funny because can you really, is technology at a point now where you cannot even keep it away from Amish people? Because it's so pulsating trying to, because in the past, no phones, no internet. It was kind of hard, right? You need to get out of the community, go to a library and get in a computer, right?
As you're saying that, I just saw something here online that gives me the affiliation they have to the Amish. So there's different branches, I guess, and then what they can use in their day-to-day life. So it says yes, they can use this, or no, they can't use this. So tractor for field work, a bunch of them are no, except one of the branches, I guess, that says yes.
Okay.
So they do use, tractors or whatever for field work. But then you go down the line and it shows motorized washing machines. So I guess, washing machine and dryer.
Washing machine.
I want to say all of them except one use washing machine. And then one other tribe, it's some. So I'm guessing some of the people use the washing machine and some don't.
I mean, as a woman, it's gotta suck to be part of one of the tribes that's just taking long to approve the washer, right? You're God damn it, just approve it. The tribe next door, they've approved the washer. No, you gotta keep washing that shit by hand. And yeah, I just feel, I don't know, I think it's funny that we're getting to a point. Of course, all the appliances that make your life easier are very relevant. But kids with phones and information, people are going insane. And I almost feel like the Amish have to succumb to it eventually, because it's not like that movie The Village where you can keep them away. It's gonna get to them. Even in Cuba, they have internet now, and they know that where they live it sucks, because of communism and shit. So I don't know. I just thought it was funny because Amish are supposed to be very rigid, and maybe there are some of the groups that are, but I often see a lot of them kind of, going away from the rules, and the contrast is funny. So,
I've
I before you guys keep going, I may have to take like a 2 minute break. So I'll leave you guys for 2 minutes and then I'll come
okay,
back. But you guys keep talking and I'll join back.
okay,
okay.
okay. You were gonna say, Marco?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. I've traveled some countries that are very, they're not very developed, and I think technology is sort of like taking over in some places. We're talking about countries that, you know, they don't have big cities, they're not developed at all. They have a small population, but you see technology taking over with applications and things like that. So I think nowadays it's just really hard to control that, to stay away or isolated. It's not possible anymore.
Right, because even
So
places that are very underdeveloped, if you
yeah,
have a smartphone, which is, generally something cheap, right? You can get for $100, $200,
yeah,
a usable phone, and you have access to so much information, right? So it's hard to keep that much power away
right.
from people.
Yeah. For instance, if you go to China nowadays, everywhere you go, you need your phone. If you don't have your phone, it's like you don't exist anymore. It's very important. It's really a need. Basically nowadays they still accept cash, but the preferred method to pay of payment is actually your phone. They like to pay with Alipay or WeChat. So everywhere you go, you need that. You need your phone, basically. You need a GPS. You need applications. So it is necessary, at least in China. And when it comes to China, you have, for example, big cities that are huge, enormous, highly populated. But you also have the part of China that is not populated at all. You have like small villages and towns, and you still need
Not
a divide.
populated, it has 10 million people, but it's the least populated.
No, you still have some places that are underdeveloped, but the thing is they don't speak English at all. So you need a tour guide or your phone to translate, or communicate somehow. But yeah, I think technology nowadays is just taking over.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I was speaking to a friend that lives in Venezuela right now.
Yeah,
You're from there. I'm from there. I think
right.
you lived there more recently than me. But he was telling me, because I have the image that internet doesn't work over there, because when I was there it sucked. And now, because of necessity, different type of companies have come, and one of them is Starlink, right, from Elon Musk. And he tells me that they pay like something like $70 a month, right?
Yeah,
Which for Spain standards is expensive for internet, but if you compare it to not having internet in this place, it's actually a good deal, because with internet you have so much power and access to things that can help you work and make money. But yeah, once you get that going, and now with Starlink you can get internet anywhere in the world, then you pretty much sort of, you have access to the world.
yeah,
Even if you don't have buildings, even if you don't have running water, even if you don't have stable electricity in your town, it's
yeah,
become a lot easier to bring internet to people and have them be connected to the
yeah. I
internet.
think
So
it's
I
become
think
a
it's a great.
necessity nowadays. Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
All right. Well, going to something that's a little bit not as productive, but something that I wrote because sometimes when I'm thinking along the days, I go back to some nostalgic moments. You and me, we have some experience, being in Venezuela, and this is very common in Venezuela, but it's done, in many places in the world, But one thing that I remember was like drinking while driving, right? And I know this sounds horrible, right? This sounds horrible. I don't know how much of a drinker you were in the past, but I remember that 20 years ago, even though it was still illegal, it was a
Yeah,
lot more accepted to have a few beers in the car. And in Venezuela, for example, is so common, or it was so common, I'm pretty sure it still is, that I feel like the society just knew how to drive while having a few brewskis. Like, it was, you know what I mean? Like, people knew how to drive and not have an accident. And I know this sounds horrible because as this ages, you're like, shit, in this age, this is horrible. Like, you shouldn't, everybody should be safe.
They
But do
sort
you
of
believe...
unlocked a new set of skills,
Exactly.
right? Something.
Exactly. Did you experience that at any time? Did you feel related to that feeling?
Not really, because I left the country a long time ago, and at some point I was underage, and then I left, and then I went back, but I wasn't drinking anymore, so I didn't get to experience that. What I can tell you is where I live right now. It's a Muslim country. It's a very tiny, small country called Bahrain.
You live in what's it called?
It's Bahrain. It's a small country called Bahrain. It's near Saudi Arabia and Qatar. So here, it's not allowed to do it. If you get caught,
drink.
You're pretty much done. I'm not sure what's going to happen to you. You either go to prison or they'll probably send you back home.
Well, not to me. I'm here.
But
I'm in Spain.
In that case, me, if I get caught. But, here's a big deal. They don't really mess around with that here. So,
like, literally, you go to jail if you're drinking.
Yeah.
Is that the case? You go to jail?
If you get caught, maybe. If you get away with it, if you manage to get home and nothing happens to you.
No, of course. But I'm saying, like, what are the repercussions? Like, it's a federal offense?
Here it's allowed to drink. You can do it. It's not a problem. But you have to go to the places to drink, like bars, restaurants, at home, but not in public area. You're not supposed to drink in public areas.
Oh, okay. But there are ways. There are bars that you can go legally and do it.
Yeah, and it's open. You can totally do it. It's legal here.
I don't know if you guys said it, but in Qatar during the World Cup, they changed some laws so some people could drink. I don't know if that's what you guys were talking about.
And I also heard some people could fuck. No, we're talking about Chef Maurice. I'm pretty sure you were attending, Family Matters. Like me, your cousin, Marco, the pilot, is telling me he wasn't much of a drinker, so he didn't experience this as much. But you remember back in the day when we would drink and drive? Obviously don't do it. Horrible
Irresponsible.
thing. But there was a freedom to it, right? There was a freedom to it that, if you controlled it and you did it well, like, let me put it this way. You're in a road trip with some homies. Obviously, the driver, back then, even the driver, but I'm saying, like, today, the driver wouldn't drink, right? But then the other people, they're drinking and telling stories. Is that wrong? What do you think, Marco?
What do you think?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's.
If you're out of the party in that moment, if everybody's drinking, you're just driving, you're out of the party.
Yeah, that long pause.
It made me believe.
You're out of the party. No, I'm just kidding.
You were the driver back then.
No, but that's the thing. Like, Marco he's a perfect driver for us. And don't you want to have
airplanes?
Right. He drives airplanes. I don't think they call him driving an airplane. He pilots an airplane, right?
Yeah.
But so were you at any time? From what you're telling me, you left early and you've been about your business your whole life. But now, right? Let's say you're in a place where it's legal in Spain.
Yeah.
As long as the driver is not drinking, the other people can be drinking. That's fine. They have the system they have is more of a party scene. So they're like, look, in the U.S., they don't fuck around. They don't want any open container.
Fuck around and you'll find out.
Yeah, fuck around and you'll find out. But in Spain, the driver cannot drink, obviously. Makes sense, right? I'll vote for that. But the rest, they can even be doing Cocorino Romano. That's up to, So would you be, and that's what we call a designated driver, a homeboy, takes one for the team. Is that something you do, Marco? Or even then you're like...
I would be the driver, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I can control myself.
Okay. And you'll be comfortable and even happy because you have the rest of the boys having a few brewskis telling the stories.
yeah, I guess I'd be happy to hear all the crazy shit they're doing and all the funny stories.
I mean, not that crazy, you know. I mean, we're like family man too. I mean, don't think, you know.
I like to hear what my cousin has to say, his stories, and
Oh
I'm pretty
shit.
sure that it'd be fun.
Damn, are we throwing family shade right now?
No, I think he's kind of like giving you praise. Like, hey, I've heard the stories. I understand you're a little, you know, crazy buckaroo. No, but tell us,
I was not the designated driver.
Chef Maurice wasn't a designated. Actually, I'll be honest, Chef Maurice barely ever drove. He wanted to not be the one taking the fault. So he actually was like, look, you drive, and if you get caught, you fucked. Because in that time, Marco, you got to understand, the designated driver wasn't the one who didn't drink.
Yeah.
They all drank. The designated driver simply was the one who was willing to take the risk that night to fuck up his entire life, right?
Okay.
So it's like a Russian roulette, right?
Yeah.
And now again,
I'm not, I wouldn't do that. No.
no, not that. Of course not, Marco. I mean, we're just telling you how it
But
was back then.
Once I have a story related to that. I was once the designated driver during
In an
a
airplane.
wedding. No, a wedding. It was a wedding. So all my friends and well, everyone was drunk pretty much. So I drove him back home. We made it successfully. Nothing happened. No major incident. But one thing was missing. One of us was missing. So it turns out that we left one of us at the wedding. And
Well, you left
like
them. You drove, right?
minutes away.
It's your fault.
Yeah, so I did. But anyway, he had to spend the night in that place.
Alone in a castle in the middle of Belgium. What fuck?
Exactly. In the middle of Margarita Island.
Shit. You could get robbed there. Okay. All right, so you have had experience with designated, you know, drivage.
To be fair, they never told me he was coming with us. So
Okay. Right. So at the end of the day,
He's trying to wash his hands right now.
right, like you did your job. If that dude is over there, you know,
That's his
doing
fucking.
doing evil things.
Do you remember when I visited you in Valencia City, and you left me in the middle of the? It was midnight. Mm-hmm. I think it was past midnight. You left me in the middle of the road, in a very insecure place in our childhood. And
Valencia, Venezuela. Yeah.
you left me there, and I think we all were a little heavy on the cups.
We were drunk and we were stealing a billboard from the city. And we left Chef Maurice ripping it apart while we went around the roundabout. And cops could have come. He would have been taken. Time. He was scared.
I remember a cop car passed by, and I feared for my life.
Damn. Yeah. No, it was heavy times. But going back to it, Chef Maurice, do you remember the days of the designated driver? I mean, at least, you know, back then you didn't have Uber, right? People, you know, may talk shit, but back then it was a different system. And don't you think, like, at least we were, in a way, had enough sense to at least organize it in a way? We're like, hey, look, today you don't drink, you know, you only take mushrooms, for example.
I don't remember how we decided who. I think the owner of the car was the one who drove.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but you would say things like, hey, bro, could you drive tonight?
And
Okay,
that person would be like, yeah.
All right.
You guys suck.
All right.
It happened to
Anyways.
me.
Chef Maurice and me, we had a lot of those experiences. And I mean, I can't remember really, but I think both of us drove in some condition. But, you know, you do it with care. You do it with love. And it's different times, and we definitely don't recommend that. And today, it's not even worth the risk because you have Uber and you can just get home through that way. So, of course, this is not an encouragement to this.
You make it seem like we're older than what we already are.
No, bro, you don't remember how old you are. All right, so this is another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I saw a news piece that came about. This is the Disney World that's in California, right? Disneyland, I think it's called in Cali. And there was a dude that was going through, you know, you have to go through security to go in. And they checked his pockets and his wallet, and he had a bag of the Cocorino Romano, right? And he was going with his son.
Oh, okay. He was one of those.
So, they threw him away. I think they even banned him. They were going to call the cops. I even think they turned him to the cops, which is fucked because obviously now he's going to go to jail. Obviously, we all think, okay, that's wrong. He has, illegal drugs. But is there a part of it, like, I thought, damn. I mean,
Oh, he
isn't
was
that the
banned
point of
from
Disney?
all the Disney worlds.
Like, isn't that like don't you want him to like really experience Disney, in the highest form? Or am I wrong there?
You need to experience Disney at its peak, as Mr. Disney would have done it, right? I'm pretty sure Sir Walt Disney was high on something.
Yeah, you don't think they froze him for no reason? That motherfucker was on the finest Cocorino Romano in powder form. I don't know. I just think it's a little bit ironic. It's like this person is going to a magical place and you are disrupting them from experience that at the highest level that he can. And yeah, I just found it a little bit, maybe even discriminatory. I just
Ooh, it
wanted
was
to
a
share
metal detector who gave him away.
what the hell was in this Cocorino?
Well,
Metals?
it says that it was in his pocket or in his wallet. So the wallet, I guess.
And there's
if it
been
was
a
a metal
few
wallet, it went
situations
off.
like this. Do you remember that kid that did the movie The Sixth Sense? His name is Osmond Joel, the little kid. He's not a little kid anymore. He's like our age. And this dude was caught in a ski lift in Colorado or some shit. And he was like drunk and shit and being belligerent. And the cops came and they found a bag of the Cocorino Romano in him too. And I mean, talk about the parties you're having when it's 11 in the morning and you're in the ski lifts. You haven't slept since the day before. You're still drinking brewskis and you're hitting the Cocorino Romano in the ski lift doing the Sixth Sense quotes to your friends. You're going down the fucking slope telling them, I see dead people, motherfucker.
No, I want to ask the pilot if he has ever seen. Well, I don't think he travels commercial or flights commercial anymore. But did you ever see somebody on a inherited position to fly, like somebody was drunk or somebody was high, being annoying and obnoxious?
No, not really. Normally, if there's someone trying to disrupt the flight or trying to cause problems, they get offloaded, I guess.
So it's
That's
like,
a key word for
Talking about
deleted.
passengers, right? You're talking about passengers or
yeah,
pilots?
passengers.
Oh,
No,
passengers,
not
yeah.
pilots.
Don't get mad
No.
though.
Pilots, I don't think so, because we normally we do some, well, not normally, but they do random checks, and
Oh,
they don't
like
tell us.
alcohol check.
Alcohol, yeah. So it could
Oh, I
happen
didn't know
anytime,
that.
any moment. So yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
No, I
But for
mean,
passengers, I think passengers is very common to see. There's a lot of drunk passengers, but high.
Right.
No, I've never seen high passengers. I don't think so.
do you? I mean, believe me, there's a lot of them. Do you think that people? Do you think because I don't know because like okay, look at it this way. In the past, people who flew in airplanes were sort of
Yeah.
higher class because it was expensive. It was kind of like a luxury. Now
Right.
airplanes, you can get a ticket for very cheap, so it's almost become as accessible as the Greyhound, right? As
Yeah.
the bus. So, do you think because alcohol was accessible before, but it was sort of maybe used by people of higher classes now? Because I see like planes now they don't give you alcohol. Like before it was included, and I almost feel they just don't want people to get drunk because I bet there's a bunch of them that are annoying.
Well, this is something that well, here in the Middle East, most of the companies, they actually serve alcohol in flight. All the big companies, they serve it, and it's for free. It's included in your ticket. So even if you fly economy, they give it to you. Because some
Like-
countries, alcohol is illegal. It's not allowed. It's banned, completely banned. But if you're flying, then they allow it. So and
Okay,
it's
so
included in the
as soon
ticket.
as you're
So
in the clouds, then it's fine.
as soon as you're, yeah, exactly. I guess it depends which company you're flying for. But a lot of companies, airlines, they like to serve alcohol. I think the passengers, they maybe get in a better mood, and maybe they just
No, that I wasn't even thinking about that. Of course, some people can get rude, but most people actually are gonna get more relaxed. And for some reason, and I bet there's science behind this, when you're in an airplane and you have a drink, obviously not as a pilot, because Marco would never do that. He's a super professional. But us as passengers, when you have that drink up there at 50,000 feet or meters, sorry, you feel it more. And I think there's a scientific thing about it. You know, the pressure.
there's less oxygen. That's what happens.
We're killing you.
Yeah. I think you get drunk faster. It's high altitude, high level, so
You think this is also the reason why you cry easier watching movies in the plane? And this is more for the little bitches that listen to us.
could be.
No, I think there's like a study.
If you do some kind of drug, would hit harder up there. It has to be, right?
Probably. I know we're not allowed to consume some drugs, some medicine, because we're operating a machine. But I'm not sure about other things. I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
But my guess is, yeah, it could be. It could have a side effect or, make you feel funny somehow at high altitude.
Nice cover, Marco. Nice cover. No, what I think, no, if alcohol hits you harder, then everything must hit you harder. And yeah, just being in the air. Like I remember when I watch movies there, it's just easier for me to cry. And that's the place that you don't want to cry watching a movie because you're next to, all these people there. And now, you're the little bitch. But I heard a report that is true because of the pressure or whatever.
Yeah, the pressurization and oxygen, yeah.
You're more sensible. So, okay, that is true. So like Fly Emirates or some of these airlines in that part of the world. What's that part of the world called? I just want to call it correctly. Like the Middle East? What would you call it?
I call it Middle East.
Okay.
It's actually Asia, but yeah, I call it Middle East.
Right,
normally
it's Asia.
When people talk about Asia, they talk about East Asia, all the
right. Shohei Ohtani. Right.
Yeah, so I just call it Middle East. I think that's what I call it.
Yeah, Asia is so big and it has so many different types of people that it's hard to... India is Asia. Okay, so Middle East. It seems that those airlines are like more luxurious, right?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They sort of like to stand out. They want to be in the top 10.
Is it an easy joke if I go like, oh, for the Thai airline, they gave you a happy ending at the end of the flight? That's like an easy joke, right?
Well, I don't think they do that.
Fuck. It would be kind of funny because the stewardess would have to go both hands on. She's in the middle of the aisle, and then she goes both hands on seat A and seat F. Just.
But you can also get the dude, the gay stewardess,
right?
And you can choose.
They can get
the lady boy.
Right. And you can choose. You get what you get. It's sort of like when they ask you want chicken or steak, and no, we only have chicken. This is what we got.
You don't choose.
No, but I want Valeria. No, Jimmy is the one that's available right now. No, but I like the fact, because maybe I'm thinking there's no airlines that do this like luxurious thing, like giving you alcohol. But I think it's just because here in Europe and in the US, Chef Maurice, I'm sure, we've gotten used to just mediocre airlines, right? And maybe you can give us some perspective on this.
I've seen the quality of service is actually getting worse in Europe and America. I don't know why. It's just becoming, it's sort of like, it's becoming a low cost thing. They're just trying to, keep costs down and just giving you a decent service, just doing the basics. That's it.
Yeah,
they don't want to do more than that.
It becomes quite
in the Middle
tedious.
East, they give you a lot of things. Sometimes you even get to have access to the lounge, the VIP lounge where people go to drink before the flight. So yeah.
And you see a little bossa nova
music
trio.
You talk about the the instruments with the co-pilot Yeah, no, I flew a 747. No, right, and now I do this, I do that. Oh, what happened to Malaysia? No, I don't. We can't find it. Um, that's what a dumbass thinks pilot speak about.
Well, we still talk about it, but we don't really know what happened. We talk, we know we have ideas, but it's not like we don't really know. So, but yeah, we have conversations like that. We talk about, what normal people talk. It's just
Right, but
Did
it's
you see
still
what Toby did
normal-
last weekend?
a normal, casual conversation between two people. So yeah.
Marco, what do you think? Do you think there's any truth to this? You see in Instagram, TikTok things, but I believe, only 5% of it because everything is just bullshit these days. But like, you hear airlines are studying having like seats where you stand up so that they can fit in more people. Is that something that's actually being thought about?
I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was true. They're always trying to, find a way to save money.
Okay, so that's actually possible. It is possible.
It is possible. They can make it legal somehow. I
Right,
wouldn't
because that's
be
the other thing.
surprised.
How can that be safe?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's safe, but they can come up with something. They'll figure out. They'll make it legal.
Okay, but you don't necessarily support it.
I don't support that kind of things. No. I think first of all, safety's first. And money is just, it's not a priority. It's
Right, safety. That's why we like Marco, and that's why we have him as a resident
that's how
pilot.
it should be, right? I mean, they're trying to save money with a lot of things like fuel and pilots. Before we used to have like 3 pilots because planes needed at least 3 of them. Well, 2 pilots, 1 engineer. Nowadays we only need 2. But I think 2 is actually a good number because what happens if the guy sitting next to you got sick or had a heart attack or
Right.
has some kind of, let's say he becomes incapacitated. So who's going to take over? So I think we need 2 pilots at least. That's what I think.
I would go back to the 3.
Well,
because
3.
Because you know why? Because what happens in these situations where you have the Malaysian dude or you have the crazy guy in Germany that goes, but depressive and wants to. But if you have the other 2 pilots, then if somebody wants to fuck around, then he can find out. If you're on your own, it might be a little harder.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
agree
a little
with
bit
you,
more.
but now they're actually working to have only a single pilot ops. So that's what they want to do. They're pushing forward for
just
that
one
agenda. They want to have 1 pilot, yeah. And I totally disagree with that.
And it has to be a woman.
I totally, well, hopefully. Well, you never know what they're going to come up with. I mean,
Right. Damn.
So,
okay.
yeah,
So,
so
I mean,
you were
I think
saying-
1 pilot is crazy. I think that's crazy.
I disagree with that. I don't want to see that. Yeah. I'm not going to be part of it for sure.
Okay. As we know, you're part of an activist group of pilots that are putting out. I'm just kidding. We're pushing for the 2 pilot rule.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I that's cool. I just think that I just wanted to talk about a little bit of the on the drinking because back then we used to do it.
Not anymore.
right.
Now we go to church and we get letters sent to us by the Jehovah Witness. Apparently, Kiko got a letter from a Jehovah Witness.
Oh, from Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, a handwritten letter, which I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's this letter,
Oh, wow.
and they wrote it right. Like they knocked my door. I was like, what is this? I was like half naked. I had to get dressed, and then when I came out, like this lady gave me this letter. She's like, "Oh, this is from the church, so read it." And, it's like pretty much inviting me to go to the church so they can listen to me and help me in my, in my path to redemption. And they're Jehovah's Witness. So, maybe they're getting less aggressive, and the past was a lot of knocking very early. Now it's just like, look, there's a letter, read it, we'll see.
I feel like just a handwritten, letter. It's enough to go take a look at the church. not to join it, but that merits just enough to go see and what's
I
on
mean,
the
that's
outside.
dedication. This lady must have written at least 100 letters by hand, and they're long letters and very nicely written, right? And like that's a lot of dedication. I myself, I'm atheist, agnostic. I just don't believe in religion myself. But for example, you, Marco, what do you think of this? And just so that we know in what context you're speaking from, are you religious? Are you Catholic? What's good with you?
Yeah, I'm a Christian. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think of the Jehovah's Witness and their tactics and the fact that they're still going strong these days?
Well, I'm not really into that, But if
Tell me
they
what you told me
actually-
the other day.
if they put if they put effort to make a letter, a handwritten letter, then maybe it's worth, I don't know, having a chat with them and check out their church or whatever it is they have to say.
It's
I think it's worth it.
Jehovah.jw.org. I should write to them
I
and see what's
wouldn't,
up.
I wouldn't convert, but maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's worth.
I can invite them to the podcast and maybe we can have a...
Just go. Well, this lady took the time to do it by hand. The least you can do, I think, is just write an email from your computer. That's the least you can do, because I don't think you're gonna handwrite them a letter and be like, yeah, no, thank you.
No, I did a lot by just being very nice, like, oh yeah, thank you, have a great day. Yeah, no, but
Oh, she
no,
gave it to you in your hand.
Yeah, she gave it to me in my hand. No, I mean, I respect it, but I'm not religious. But I do like living in those sort of, in that culture. I like the Catholic Christian culture. I was raised in that culture, and I like it, even though I don't necessarily follow. I mean, I don't go to church type thing, but I follow the 10 Commandments or whatever. Like I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I've seen that with the new Pope thing, or with the new Pope.
The conclaves.
And I think it's true. I read somewhere that they were talking about the Catholic aesthetics.
What?
So they have like good aesthetics. I don't know how,
Okay.
I can't say that word. And
Aesthetics.
I think it's aesthetics. I think it's true. Like there's
What about
something
it?
about that the robes they wear and like how they make it, religious and keep following their culture for ages and centuries. And they keep that tradition going. So, and also, the gold that they wear, the Pope that just like apparently didn't want to wear those because he didn't feel he married those. But the new Pope apparently is bringing them back.
Yeah, I bring it back. Did you watch the coronation, Marco? That's not what it is?
I don't think they put a crown on you.
Well, but I mean, okay.
The conclave and then the white.
It's
smoke.
understood. It's understood. I mean, did you watch the thing live?
Yeah, I saw the pictures and videos. No, not in live, but
I saw it live. So
Yeah.
maybe you're not
saw it live
that
too.
much of a Christian after all.
You're going to hell now, bro.
That's like following Real Madrid and not watching the final.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, there's a lot of things going on nowadays with the church and the Vatican, and the world.
Oh,
I mean,
okay. So this is what you
it's
were
really-
hiding. Tell us what's wrong.
well, nothing's wrong. It's just that I think it's getting very political, and they're getting involved in many things that I don't necessarily agree with. I think they should, I don't know. It feels like
For
it
example,
just feels like it's taking the. Well, for example, I went to Rome a couple of months ago. I go there very often, and they always tell you to help others, to help the poor people, homeless. So I was walking, in the Vatican, outside the Vatican, and you can see that nowadays there's a lot of homeless people living in there. It's like those people are living on the streets. Why are they allowing that? I mean, it feels like wrong.
Bro, but they're living in the streets inside the Vatican or outside?
Yeah, inside the Vatican, yeah. Because there's like a big road that takes from, the Vatican's like it's a state, right? It's an independent
Right.
state. It's not part of Italy. But then you have this main road, which is completely open, so anyone can actually enter the Vatican. So that's where they all are in the Vatican. They're inside the state.
Okay,
And
and this is something
just
that
feels
disturbs you, for example, like they're like
no,
covered.
it doesn't. Well, it doesn't really bother me, but there's a lot of homeless people. It's like living in the streets. So why don't they help them? Because the Vatican is a rich state, very rich, wealthy. So they should do something about it at least.
Right.
They just have, so I mean, it's having people living on the streets just like that feels like wrong. I don't know.
Okay, so you
It doesn't really bother me. It doesn't affect me, but it just feels like
no, it's ironic. No, it bothers me. I don't like homeless people. But no, what I'm trying to say, I myself think they should go somewhere else. They're fucking up the whole tourism and and the experience
that's
for
another
people.
thing. It's getting filthy. It's dirty.
Yeah.
That's what they eat. They shit. I mean,
Don't get me
they
wrong.
sleep.
I've talked about it in this podcast before. I think people that are in those conditions, the state should help them and provide them with refugee places,
Camp,
whatever, like so they can live there for the moment being.
Yeah.
But if you're not like sort of following the laws, like you either get with it or you go to jail. I mean that everybody wakes up early to go to work, and suck the life's dick. So everybody should have to suck the life's dick, not just some of us. Okay, but I get you, right? It's a little bit ironic that it's like this super holy place, and right in the feet of the entrance, there's people living there, and you're like, well, at least help them, because like this looks very bad on you. I see the aesthetics being very. I remember Chef Maurice, the aesthetics, it's very bad looking in the. Nah, I'm just trying to be a dick, but not really. Okay, another thing I wanted to comment today, and you guys are sort of generally around the same age as me, 35, a little bit, up and down. But one thing that's bothering me today is that because everything has been technologically advanced in some ways, in others, they're just fucking with you whenever you buy something like a light bulb that changes colors or like a toaster, and then you always need to open an app, sign in. And I fucking love, I remember in the days, like I long for those days in the past when you just bought a thing and it worked. Like you didn't need to fucking put an app. And it's some things that don't make sense to do it. Like there's a lot of things that you buy where you're like, wait, why do I have to make an account for this? This is a toaster, Are you encountering this? Does it also bother you as a millennial?
Yeah, it is happening. Every time I buy something, I just have to sign up or create an account or... Yeah, it's just complicated.
It's crazy how many websites you have to put your email when you move. Like when I moved, I had to change my address, and they made me sign, my email account to a different website every step of the way. What I did is I created kind of like a junk email. Mm-hmm. And then I'll put that one for that kind of stuff.
Oh, I see.
Unless it's get 10% when you sign up for, and then I do that because maybe it's like something for the kitchen. I'm like, maybe I want that pan and get 10% off, which is basically shipping, right? Basically, that's what they're taking off.
But even then, I'm giving you my information that I don't want, but it's also the annoyance of having to create an account. Like even if I have a spam email that I use, I still don't want to go through the issue,
right?
Through
the process, yeah.
Like you buy a TV now, of course, like that's Samsung or whatever, and then you have to sign on into their account, and then every fucking week they're like, oh, accept our cookies, and if you say no, then he keeps reminding. I'm like, bro, can you chill the fuck out? And I'm actually like starting to obtain gadgets from the past. I took out my old iPod Nano, right? Just, no accounts there. Like a little Game Boy, no connection to the internet. So sort of bringing it back. I'm even thinking maybe getting a CD player, but I don't have CDs. I know Chef Maurice has CDs. But yeah, I'm just longing for the past when things were simpler. Not all these bullshit.
Even cars are like that. Cars, they have applications. They have I don't know. They have a lot of fancy.
That's a new one. The whole two-step authentication. Like we bought a lock for the door, and then for that you need like a two-way authentication through your email account and something through your phone. Because let's say you forget your code to enter the house, you'll send it to your phone. But for that, you also need to another code be sent to you. It's a lot.
I mean, but this is the thing. For something like that, right? Like the lock in your house, I can understand. Look, we need to have an account with you so that we can do all these verifications in case you need to use it, so that we know for sure it's you. There, I can understand it because there's a reason why I'm logging in, because you need to know it's me. But if I have a toaster, a dishwasher, right, or a fucking strudel maker, we don't need to have an account. We don't need a relationship here. Just make this shit work, and that's it. So that's, I guess, where I'm at with this whole thing. And every time
they make you sign up so you can use the Bluetooth from your phone, and then you don't have to get up from your bed to turn the oven on.
Right, that's even worse, where they put things on a sort of paywall, like, oh, it's already there, but you're disabling it on purpose. And yeah, to me, I don't think that's no, it's not going.
I think just creating a junk email could. I mean, it's still, you're still going through the steps.
I know for the people listening, yeah, that's a possibility. Like Chef Maurice says, you can get a spam email. Remember, we're on every platform. Spotify, iTunes, so please check us there. We haven't finished, but I'm just letting people know because sometimes I don't get to the end. And please leave a review. Spotify and iTunes, it really helps us. And if you have any comments or critiques, even me or Marco, for example, if something you didn't like about them, just put it in the comments and then we can address it. Another thing that I've been noticing that's annoying me as a millennial is that I feel there's no shame anymore. I feel like the young generations just don't give a fuck. And even older people, they just lost shame. People don't have awareness of others. And I heard somebody on a podcast that was Asian, Chinese, but she said this in name, of all the Asians, that they believe in like karma. So like, let's say you have a baby or a small kid, and that kid is annoying people in an airplane or at a gathering or whatever, that you as a mom, if you're the type of mom or dad that just lets the kid just fuck with other people, you're letting that baby or kid get bad karma, because all those people that are gonna be there inside of their heads are like, damn, fuck that kid, but they don't say it, right? But they're thinking it. All that bad karma is going to that kid. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I kind of wish they didn't say that about my kid.
I did. Me? What?
No. I'm not saying you did. I'm saying I hope he doesn't get to that point where people are saying that.
Right, but then that's where you come in as a parent. You're like, look, this is my little creature.
Motherfucker.
This is my little creature. I need to make sure he doesn't bother others. But even yourself, there's people that don't know they're bothering others or inconveniencing others. Like if you're at a place ordering some food, and there's people that like are just taking the longest time, and there's a huge line, and they just keep asking, all right, and the cheddar can be replaced with like the American cheese? Is that, and like these people that don't have it clear their order, they're just fucking it up for everybody. No awareness for anything. I just feel there's no shame anymore. I feel people don't give a fuck. People don't have that. And I still have that shame. Like, I do have it.
You have the shame of not wanting to accommodate everyone. Right? You don't want to be annoying to other people.
Right, exactly.
So you go to the supermarket, you go to the deli station, you go quick. I need
right.
1 kilo of this, 1 kilo of that, and let's go home. Mm-hmm. Let's go shop. Yeah, I've been there where you go to the market and the deli lady's just like fucking around, and then the other one's telling them some sort of story, and it's annoying, and I want to go home because it's hot as fuck. Oh, acere.
Yeah, there's people, or like if you're gonna go to the ATM, right, and you're gonna get money out, like just do it in one operation. Like sometimes people are in the ATM, and I'm like, what the fuck can you be doing in the ATM? Like, are you logging into Google? Like, what are you doing? Like, there's people where I'm like, I don't understand what you're doing in the ATM that's taking you so long.
Dude, I gotta ask you, do you use the ATM still?
I mean, very, very little, but...
Are you more of like a card/phone user?
I have it on my phone, but I tried to use my card just to keep it old school. But yeah, very little cash. But I like to have some cash just so that I don't feel...
hate cash.
Right, but if like things happen where like you have a blackout again, then
and you need some cash.
Look, you can tell Marco that he can log out and log in again.
I'm having technical issues with the camera.
Okay. So, but you're still hearing us. Okay.
In San Francisco, a lot of the things are now phone. You don't even have take out your card. Sometimes I would go out without my wallet because I know I could pay with my phone.
Yeah, it's sort of like what Marco was saying about China earlier, where you use your phone for everything. Here. The other day, a friend of mine did something where I'm like, I kind of was mad at him for it because I was like, you little fuck. He uses watch to pay.
I mean, that's the point of it. You have it. You use it for
that just looks so douchey. You know what I mean? What were you doing, Marco? Like, tell us the truth. You just.
I had technical issues.
You like to do
problems
that while people are
here.
Okay.
Now it's working fine. I'm back. Sorry about that.
Do you feel this about shame, or is it different where you are in the side of the world where you are? Maybe there's more shame there. When I say shame, I mean like awareness of not bothering others. So like, you know, when you have shame, you don't do things that could make you look like an asshole in the public, right?
I think here people are more considerate, okay? Because you know, first of all, it's an Arab country, and the majority are Muslims. So people like me, you know, who come from a different country, different religion, we try to be, you know, we try to behave here. We don't want to cause trouble. We don't want to piss anyone off. Right. So I think there's a lot of consideration from the foreigners, the expatriate community. So because there's a lot of foreigners here. Most of the workers,
but okay.
What we call here, we don't call ourselves immigrants. We call it anyway.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of foreigners. Most of the people here are foreigners. Right. There's a lot of workers who come from different places. There's a lot of Filipinos, Thai, Indians, a lot of Indians, and then there's a few Europeans. So I think, you know, people try to behave here. This country is very laid back. It's very chill. It's a small country, only 1 million people.
Until you take out some weed, then they're not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to behave like he's saying. Now, what about not the foreigners, but the people there? They're also very sort of, just decent, chill,
laid back, relax.
I think that the Bahraini people are nice, but some other Arabs,
he has to say that.
They could be, you know.
He lives there.
Some other people can be, you know, sometimes they have they feel like entitled or that they can do whatever they want. So.
But what do you mean, example, from other places
here,
or from?
For example, here in Bahrain, we have a lot of people who come from Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia is just 40 minutes away. So there's a bridge that connects both countries.
Okay.
So Bahrain is actually more open than Saudi Arabia. So most of the Saudi people come here on weekends, you know, to party, drink, because here it's allowed, it's open. So when they come here, they, you know, there's a lot of traffic and sometimes they break the rules and, you know, they can do more. They can do more. So
Bahrain is sort of like the spring break for them.
It's Panama City of Florida.
It's like the Las Vegas of the Middle East.
Okay, I get it. Within the context of it still being the Middle East.
I'm not sure they will like what I'm saying, but yeah, it's sort of like that. It's not like Las Vegas because it's not allowed to gamble here in the Middle East.
Right.
But
but I think in contrast,
it's very open. It's like Dubai.
Everything's so tight there that being the place that's more open almost feels like Las Vegas for them. Like I can drink and, you know, whatever, I don't know. Speak to a Filipino, okay, I'm going.
You can party, you can do a lot of things here. You can get a nice Thai massage.
Okay, I get it. I get it. All right, perfect. No, I do think that Europe and the US, that's where you start to see this decay in civilization, where you see more of the, we're losing our Western identity, respect. Like I see a lot of people in public transport putting their feet up in chairs, just people that have no awareness. They use their phone and it's loud and they don't care about others. And I just feel like, for example, in Asia, they're so much better with that. Like, you know, they don't, they're a lot more conscious of other people and being respectful. And unfortunately, I've noticed
especially if you go to places like Japan, you when you're on the subway, you don't hear anything. It's very quiet. You know, they don't use the phone or any. I mean, they do use the phone, but you know, they have like headset or earbuds. They don't want to bother others. So yeah, in some places, yeah, that's exactly how they are.
Like even on the simple things, I noticed it in Spain. Here, people, and I love Spanish people. I have Spanish family, and I love Spain. This is what you say right before you're gonna shit on something. But here, they have no spatial awareness. You're walking down like the street, and if there's a group of 3 people, and you would know, like, look, if I have my group covering the whole sidewalk, and I see people coming from different ways, I would proactively sort of change how we're walking so that there could be space for other people. Here they don't have that. So you're like, hey, what do you want me to do? Go to the street? Like I gotta. And I feel like I've heard and seen in documentaries that in Japan, they even have like a known sort of non-written rule for when you're walking in the streets. Like the right is for this way, the left, like don't just stand looking at your phone like a dumbass. So, they get annoyed with like tourists that are just blocking the way and fucking it up for everybody. But yeah, I mean, me and Chef Maurice always talk about Japanese culture and how we would always, would want to like even adopt a little Japanese boy. Just for fun.
I don't know.
But then again, if he's been raised in Spain or the US, he might not have the Japanese values or manners,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He's just gonna be another Venezuelan.
Maybe we can just move to Japan.
Condo. I would love to. I mean, if I could get like a job that pays me there, but I don't know if they'll accept me, because I don't think this is racism. I really don't think it is. But there's Asian countries like Japan, South Korea, where they're not like super like happy with foreigners because they have their own culture and the way things work for them, and I respect that. So I don't know if they would accept me. But I do sometimes think of like this alter ego, like in a different alternate universe. I moved to, Japan, maybe to teach English. And they're like, oh, we want a teacher for English, but one that doesn't speak it that well. Okay, that's me. And then they, take me there. And then I'm able to like, I don't know, adopt a Japanese boy and raise him there. That's what I guess what. I mean, I have my girlfriend too. It's not like a weird thing. Yeah. I'll also adopt a Japanese wife.
You could also learn the ways of the samurai.
That's the next step. That's another alternate universe I wanna do. Like become,
do you
samurai.
think they go? Do you think there's 3 friends in Japan who make a podcast like us, saying like, oh, we want to live in Cuba, or we want to live in Miami, or we want to live in Venezuela.
We want to go to Venezuela and dress like an indigenous tribe.
We want to have those values of, the Caribbean and not giving a fuck.
I want to move to Puerto Rico and be loud as fuck. And sell drugs.
There's people in the East, in the Far East, who go like that? There have to be, right?
And they tattoo things in Spanish and English.
Instead of the Japanese characters, it'll be like caliente.
Right, amistad, No, that happens. Okay, no, but yeah, I mean, I do think there's countries where it's still savable. I think Asia in general, like
savable from what?
No, from the shameless epidemic that we're seeing of people just not being, respectful to others and caring about other people. Opening the door when you leaving Chili's or whatever the restaurant you eat at. Whatever.
When I do that, people look at me funny.
Like bad?
Like when I go into a restaurant and I see somebody coming in or out and I open the door for them, it's like I'm not used to it.
Okay. I did notice in Miami, I did that a few times, and they were surprised, but in a nice way. They were like, oh, thank you. You know, people don't do this anymore. And then that's when you realize you don't want to go to Miami. But anyway, Chef Maurice, you're already there. It's okay.
Sorry.
No, you'll get used to it.
I feel like you're visiting soon, so...
No, after a while, you get used to it. It's like moving back to Venezuela. You get used to it after a while. You're like, oh, okay.
Oye, que hola.
You get used to it. You were recently in Miami, right, Marco?
Yeah, I was actually there a few days ago, last week.
And you also, if I'm not mistaken, you live there doing your courses for a pilot,
I did
right?
I did my flight training there, yeah. I was living in Kendall.
Okay. What's your experience when you go to Miami now that you've traveled to, different places in Europe and in the Middle East? What's your analysis truthful. Be honest.
Well, it's different because when I was living there, I was pretty much a student, so I was just going to the flight school, and then during the weekends I would go see my cousin Mauricio, and it was just more like a normal life.
Like you
now,
live there and you just go to wherever you need to go.
Yeah, exactly. You do what you have to do, right? I mean, but now that I went there again after so many years, I decided to be a tourist. So Chef Maurice took me to so many different tourist areas, and we started to learn about the culture, the Miami culture. So we went to, for example, the Little Havana neighborhood area, the street. And, we were basically learning how they make the cigars, how they, we were learning about the Cuban culture. We had a coffee there, the cortado, and I think it was fun, to be honest, because I've never been there before. I never got to learn about the Cubans or their culture, heritage. We did a lot of things like that. We also went to the other place in downtown, Winewood. I think that's what they call it. So
Okay, Wynwood. Okay.
Wynwood, sorry, yeah, Wynwood.
Damn, Chef Maurice, you took it to the. It's funny because I lived there for many years, but not until recently when I went last year. Is that I actually went to Little Havana and Calle Ocho, and I went to the same places you were, because Mauricio sent me the pictures, where they play dominoes, and the Cubans and all. Yeah, it's fun. I felt like a tourist too, and I lived there for so many years, but never really got to know that area. And well, Chef Maurice probably felt a little bit even more, powerful because he has Cuban blood. And maybe I don't know. Did it make you feel like maybe connected to your culture and shit?
Not at all.
Not at all. That's not a great example.
That's no. I mean, I didn't grow up with my grandparents playing dominoes at home. That's not how I grew up.
But I mean, you could lie and make the podcast fun.
I grew up with my grandmother being a domino master. You know how in China they have the mahjong and there's like masters and like very good players. My grandmother was the domino master.
Okay. No, was your grandma more Venezuelan culture, or she was Cuban flow?
I guess half and half, because she lived half or most of her life in Venezuela, but she also grew up in Cuba, and then she lived in the States for 15 or 20 years. So
okay,
it's a little bit of everything.
Have you mentioned a game, mahjong? Recently, I saw a movie in Netflix. It's called The Match. It's really good. It's a recent movie with one of the Korean guys from the Octopus game, whatever.
Squid Games?
Yeah, Squid Game. And it's pretty good. It's about this game Go. Have you heard of this game? It's with like these little pebbles. It's like black and white pebbles. It's kind of like chess, but even more complex. And the Koreans and the Japanese and the Chinese are sort of the leaders on it. But the movie was about like a master that teaches, the apprentice, and then the apprentice becomes better than the master, as it usually happens. And it was crazy. I didn't know about this game, and it's so complex, and apparently it's really, really hard.
Never seen it. Never seen the game.
No, never.
Well, I recommend watching the movie. It's called The Match. It's on Netflix. Maybe we can talk about it next time, because it is an actual pretty fun story. Marco, I mean, we told you today to come in the show, and you came with very short notice, so we really appreciate that. As people know, you're the resident pilot for the Broski Doodles podcast, so we're very excited to have you again in the future, and speak about more stuff plane related and flying related.
And thank you for having me here. I'm so happy to participate and being part of your podcast.
Okay, I want to be part of you too.
I appreciate it.
Chef Maurice is part of me too. And nothing, guys. Love you. Take care. Chef Maurice directly from Miami. You're in Bahrain. I'm in Madrid. I mean, I don't think this triple connection has been done in many. This is crazy. This is something I don't think anybody has done in the past. Follow us on every platform, and please leave comments or critiques. Thank you. Take care.